Welcome back to the Why So Serious podcast. Brandon, Mike, and Devin are back for another show today. But this time we have a very special guest joining us today. We have Heather Antos. What's going on, Heather?
Not much. Apparently avoiding a hurricane.
Yes, we're all trying to get out that hurricane. Like you said, go ahead, Devin.
Does anybody feel like we have to have like a cheerful show now? Because like Bailey intro is like amazing.
Yeah, Bailey's intro is so positive.
Do we have a cheerful?
I mean, we gotta be like super upbeat now. Like, gee whiz and swell. Like, I just feel like.
I don't think I've ever heard you say either of those words in my entire life, knowing you, Devin. So.
I've changed up. I'm the happy-go-lucky.
Born in 1950. Why would you say those words?
That's not to be excited about, though, guys. We're talking comics.
We are.
True.
Yeah, we're always talking comics. Before we get started, make sure you can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast app. Just search Why So Serious Podcast and leave us a 5-star review. It helps us out a lot. So before we get into our normal show, let's just talk to Heather. So Heather, why don't you tell everyone about yourself who doesn't know you, and for the people who do, they'll just love hearing you talk anyway.
Oh my goodness, so much pressure. I don't like talking about me. It's weird. My name is Heather Antos. I work in comics and video games as an editor and writer, and I'm most known for my work at Marvel, where I co-created the character Gwenpool, as well as helped launch the 2015 Star Wars line. But among my other titles there, I also worked on Deadpool and Amazing Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows. Since then, I work on a bunch of image books. Some y'all may have heard of, including Redlands, Injections, and the soon-to-be coming out Bitterroot, which is super exciting if you are all into voodoo magic in the 1920s.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Are we getting some New Orleans themed stuff down there, or are we just going with the voodoo? Like, where is it set at?
So it takes place in both Harlem and New Orleans.
Oh.
Okay.
So yeah, it has to do, without spoiling too much because I don't want to give too much away, but it's by David Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green. So if you guys were fans of David Walker and Sanford Green's run on Power Man and Iron Fist,
yep.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out Bitterroot. It comes out the first week in November, but it has to kind of do with these supernatural beings that the angrier and more hateful you are, it turns you into these monsters, and so that's this family of monster hunters.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's super, super cool, and it's fun to work on because you get to like vent out a lot of steam that way.
So speaking of that, how do you feel is different editing at Marvel or working with creators on their like personal projects at Image? Is it a different style that you have to take? Do you enjoy one or the other, or they're just kind of different?
At the end of the day, my job is still the same. It's to, ensure that I'm helping the creators do their best work and put out the best comic possible on time, and within budgets of deadlines and all that other fun, boring stuff that no one likes to talk about. But it's the difference at the end of the day is who's the boss. When I'm working at Marvel, Marvel's the boss. I'm the keeper of the keys. It is up to me to make sure the creators are working within the sandbox that is the Marvel playground. So if they want to do something and I say, no, I don't think that's a good idea, we can't do that, my word is law at the end of the day.
Nice.
Whereas with, like, say, working with Jordi Belair and Vanessa Del Rey on Redlands, if Jordi wants to do a specific scene and I say, I don't think this really makes sense in this, connotation of which you want to do it. How about we do it this way? And if she feels super strongly that her original idea is the best way to do it, it's her book. She's the boss. It's all I can do is just be like, well, I gave my two cents. I don't think this is the best way, but if you feel this strongly, it is your project. And I'm here to make sure that then this way that you want to tell the story, we'll then make sure we're going to tell it the best way that we can.
Didn't she work on Vision?
She was the colorist on Vision.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, she's mostly known as a colorist. She's worked on everything from Batman to Deadpool to Star Wars to Vision. And even if you don't know anything about colorists, I promise you, if you read comics, you have read a Jordi Belair. She's colored everyone. She's won the Eisner Award for Best Colorist twice in the past, like 3 years. Yeah, she's amazing. And so Redlands last year was her first foray into writing, and it was nominated for Best New Series at the Eisners this year. We ended up losing to Black Bolt, which was sad.
Amazing, but I mean,
it's an amazing book, but you know, it's always sad to lose.
Yeah, that is true.
But
that's dope. I didn't know she was writing.
Yeah, she is. I think she also is doing. DC just announced like this like horror anthology project or something like that.
I think.
Is that Metal or is that?
No, Metal's done.
Okay.
Yeah, Metal's done. It wasn't a Black Label. It's some, I don't know what it is. I'll have to look it up. But it's some sort of horror anthology with DC. And she's writing one of the things in that. And I'm just so proud of her.
Oh, girl power.
So I got a couple of questions because my other two, well, Devin's not, but Mike can be shy sometimes, so he'll jump in. I have to encourage him sometimes.
Mike, the one who asked me to be on this podcast.
This is very.
Listen,
Look,
I should tell you the story. I should tell you the story.
I didn't think you'd respond.
He didn't think you would respond, and you responded back to him. And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm asleep, and he's having a panic attack. He sent like 7,000 messages to me.
And I'm just rooting no more. I'm like, that boy, Mike, keep going. You can do it. Like,
and I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, and I'm reading everything back, and I'm like, well, that's cool, but why are you so nervous? Like, relax. And he was so excited to talk to you. So,
aw, that's so cute.
That was such.
Don't bite, I promise, especially via Skype.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd respond, though I'm extremely grateful that you did. That whole time, Devin was awake, and he was just like, you can do it. You got it. Just keep going.
I was like, she's a normal person. Like, if she's responding back to you, like, that's a good, like.
Yeah, just relax. So,
yeah, the last episode we did, I don't think I did. They were talking about wrestling for like 30 minutes, and I'm one of the other people. I don't watch wrestling either, and they didn't even know I was on the show with them. I said something later, and they were like, oh my God, there's a third person here. I was like, hi, sorry.
No, that was 2 episodes ago, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, all right, I got a couple questions. So, one,
all right,
how'd you like working with Kieran Gilliam? He's one of my favorite writers. I love Uber, and Uber Invasion is like the best thing ever. And we also did a podcast on the Darth Vader book earlier this year when we went back and read all the issues and talked about it. So, what was it like working with him?
Oh my God, Kieran is a delight. Like, he is, I think, one of my favorite people on the planet, let alone one of my favorite people I've got to work with in comics. He's just, I feel like he is the MacGyver of comics.
Wow.
Like,
what does that mean, though?
Like, you could get, so, you know, with Darth Vader and Star Wars and all these crazy stuff I worked with Kieran on, like, you know, you're not just working with Marvel's rules, but you're also working within the Star Wars rules.
Right.
And so, you know, where like Marvel comic book continuity is its own thing, then the TV continuity is its own thing, and movies, etc. And Star Wars, everything is continuity. Mm-hmm. So the games, the novels, the movies, TV shows, comics, they're all existing in the same world, which is complicated. That's a lot to keep track of. That's a lot to manage. And so because of that, you know, sometimes there were some pretty crazy hoops we had to jump through creatively in order to make things work. Some things we were told last minute that we were previously approved to do, you're not approved to do anymore. Oh, wow. We know we approved this, but can you do this instead so it can tie in with this episode, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, crazy things. And Kieran can just make anything work. And not just make anything work, but make anything work and be amazing. He's so smart. And on top of that, he's just the most cheerful and whimsical, funny dude. I was just talking to him the other day how much I miss reading his scripts, because his scripts are just asides to the writers and the editors. His script will be 30 pages long, but 15 pages of it is metaphors. But yeah, he's wonderful. And if you're ever at a convention where he's at, I strongly urge you to go shake his hand and meet him and just have a conversation. He's lovely.
Awesome.
And writes some of the darkest, most twisted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I was about to say. I was like, you're also forgetting
whimsical.
He's kind of a crazy person.
But that's what makes him. He gets all the crazy out on the page. That way he can be delightful in person. If he wasn't a writer, he'd be a serial killer. I don't know.
Like, my favorite Star Wars, other than in your Gwenpool, I love Gwenpool, was Thrawn. That was so awesome.
Thank you so much. If you follow me on Twitter or followed me on Twitter for the past several years, you know how much I love Thrawn, and to finally get to be able to do the comic, I'm looking up at my Thrawn statue in my apartment.
Oh my gosh!
I love Thrawn. I played a Star Wars tabletop RPG game, much kind of based on Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 in college, and I played a Chiss. I was related to Thrawn. Like I have all the novels. I love me some Thrawn, let me just say. And so I was pitching that comic literally since day one of Marvel, and 3 years in, I finally got it, and to get to do it, and we got to work with on too a little bit, who's the creator of the character. And yeah, no, thank you so much for reading the comic and liking the comic. It was the day they said you can do this was like one of my best days at Marvel.
Just his intellect, and then his shortness and his wittiness and his squares and his dialogue are amazing, because they make you think, and they're like, oh no, and then we'll go like to the next episode. Next issue, and you'll be like, oh my God, what he said in issue 2 came to fruition in issue 3. Like, you're like, what? And it's just a minute, just one sentence, and it's just crazy.
I like him because he's not like a Jedi or a Sith or like a Force. He's just himself, and he's so intimidating and powerful, and in ways more dangerous than a Sith could be. He's just fun to read and watch. But I like the show too. The show was awesome.
Canon is crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, I think why I like him so much is I'm just like throwing out all my nerd cards on the table here.
This is why you're here.
Star Wars RPG. But so I'm a huge chess nerd. I love I started a chess club in my elementary school in the 6th grade, and it's still there to this day, and I'm very proud of that. That is some
nerd shit. That is some grade A Jedi nerd shit.
Yeah, but I think why I like Thrawn so much is everything is a chess match. Yes. Everything is a chess match, and he's always 6 moves ahead of you. And even if he's against you, even if he's your enemy and playing against you, dude, you gotta respect that, someone who's just that smart and that Machiavellian in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
definitely.
I heard a rumor there was a new actor cast in episode 9, and people were saying it looks like Thrawn, it could be Thrawn, and I was like, don't get my hopes up. I would freak out.
As most people listening to the show knows, I haven't watched that show yet, so I'm still a loser. I don't even know who Thrawn is.
Disappointing.
Well, I did a whole I don't know if you guys know the podcast Steel Wars, but I did a whole episode basically yelling at Ronnie Chang that he didn't know who Thrawn is. So I'll send
Ronnie Chang! Oh shit!
Yeah, no, it was me and Ronnie Chang, and it was a good time. And I just yelled at him the whole time for not knowing who Thrawn was. So I could send it to you, and you could replace Ronnie Chang with yourself.
You see, I mean that's a compliment, but it sounds to me like Thrawn is like Star Wars Doom. Is that it? Is that a good comparison?
You can't give him Doom, because he's just a piece of the puzzle that is the the Empire. But
I would kind of put him like a Sherlock Holmes type character, but he's not. He has the intellect of Sherlock Holmes. He's not a detective.
Moriarty.
Well, he's not crazy either.
But do you really know he's not crazy though?
I do.
Okay. You do. You would know. You would know.
He's my big blue baby. You shush.
So, what kind of got you into comics? Like for me, it was the X-Men, the animated TV show when I was little, and then I was like, oh, they got books about this too, and my parents got them for me because they was like, oh, this is a good way for them to read, and so I started reading the X-Men books in like 92, 93, and that's kind of what got me into comics. So, what got you into comics?
So I was always a huge fan of like the superhero characters growing up. Like my first memory is the Adam West Ward Batman.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was my first memory as a kid. I was obsessed with it. I also adored the like George Clooney like Batman as a kid.
With the nipples.
We'll let it slide.
Batman
we'll
with
let
the
it slide.
nipples?
Yeah, the nipples.
Hey, I was like 6. You can't like. But like that was my first, entry into this realm of superheroes. And I read like a bunch of comic strips as a kid, but I didn't get into comics themselves. And this is my favorite nerd crud story to tell because it is super uncool. Is they started doing the MCU movies with Iron Man and all of those, and I watched all of those, and then they announced this funny little DC movie called Green Lantern. And everyone was super excited about this film.
Uh-huh.
And it was around that same time that DC was doing the New 52 relaunch.
Right.
And so at this point, like I'd never grown up near comic shops. So like just reading weekly issues wasn't an option, but I was in college at this point. There was one in my town. I went to the comic shop and I was like, oh, Green Lantern movie's coming out. There's a new Green Lantern #1. Like, let's check this out. And I consumed, and that was when Jeff Johns was writing it.
Yep.
And I consumed everything. Like I found out the movie was going to be based on Secret Origins and Emerald Dawn. So I picked up those and I consumed everything. And from there, that's how I discovered other books like Sandman, which was the first like series I hardcore like read, devoured, and broke down, to like Why Is the Last Man. I was a huge fan of like the 80s, 90s Vertigo. But that's how I got into comics. And then I remember going to see Green Lantern in theaters. And at that point I had read everything Green Lantern that was out. And from that first scene, I was sitting there in the theater and I remember turning to my boyfriend and being like, that's wrong. They should have done it like this. That's a like, and that's when I knew. I was like, shit, I'm that comic nerd already.
Oh, that is just a harsh reality. So when you left the theater, were you in tears? Or
I think I was more so just in shock that someone said, yeah, that's good. Put that out there.
That's exactly what I said. And by the way, that was supposed to be the start of the DCEU. A lot of people forget that.
If it makes you feel any better, my entry into the comic world was Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, which I still kind of don't mind, but Brandon is always yelling at me for that.
They're not bad.
I mean, it's not bad. They're not bad.
No, it's not bad. He's just not good.
Yeah, that is more what it is.
I didn't mind it, but we don't need to get into that argument.
I got a question. So, what superhero do you think would most improve the world if he or she existed in real life?
In real life?
Yeah, and why?
I would say Captain America.
Yes.
It's like Chris Evans Captain America too. Like he's the full embodiment of it. Like, or if we want to talk the comics, like I really love the recent run that like Mark Waid and Chris Samnee did. But like he just like Superman is supposed to be the embodiment of what humanity could be. But I feel like Captain America is the embodiment of what's already inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is just human. And there's just something. I remember when I watched the first Captain America film and just so in awe by Chris Evans' performance because he just embodied this pure goodness that you just don't see anymore. And it gave me just this feeling of hope of like, oh yeah, people can be like this. People can be this selfless. People can, put everything on the line for the sake of goodness, and that inspires. It's kind of like even too like in Wonder Woman, the no man's land scene.
Yes.
When
exactly.
They're just kind of like, yeah, this is war, people die, like we just gotta, it happens, and she's just like, but it doesn't have to. And I don't think there's enough people who are willing to say it doesn't have to and stand up and fight, but the people that do are such an inspiration. And yeah, Captain America, the Chris Evans version.
Yes.
But Captain America and Wonder Woman, I feel like, are those characters that just truly embody that hope. But yeah, Captain America specifically, because he is human. He's not this alien. He's not this god. He's just a kid from Brooklyn.
Am I wrong? I kind of like already think Chris Evans is like Captain America.
Yeah.
No, we all think that. I mean, we didn't have to say it. We all feel the same way.
Every time I read him do an interview or everything, I'm just like, yeah, that's my Captain America. Every time.
And they got to re-up this contract. I mean, I don't know. They got to come to they got to up his money because he deserves more. Because, I mean, even though, like, Infinity War is supposed to be, like, a group film, like, everybody was hyped to see Cap with the beard. And then, like, Cap fighting Thanos and being able to block his punch with one hand and stuff like that. Those are moment stealing. I mean, he stole the movie in those moments.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Evans has talked multiple times so that, like, he wants to move on to directing. So I think that's why he doesn't want to re-up his contract, which makes me sad. But I do get, like, as a creative person, he doesn't want to do just this one thing for the rest of his life.
Right. Absolutely.
Have you ever met any of them, like the actors?
I have. Yeah.
What was it like?
It depends on the actor. Like some of them are nerds too. They grew up with comics and they grew up fans of this stuff, and they're playing these characters that we tell the stories of, and they're very interested in that process. And then you have people that are just they're doing a job, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't expect everyone who walks into Marvel to be obsessed with MODOK. But it's always cool, but also kind of weird to meet these guys. I think one of the weirdest ones for me was, and not weird like in a bad way, but just like strange, was I met David Tennant.
Oh, that's dope.
Around Jessica Jones season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to the office like the week it was premiering. So he's doing a bunch of promo and stuff, and he's just the most charming, sweetest, nicest person in the world. Like, shaking everyone's hands, and like really, he's very genuine and asking like, how are you, and like, what do you do, and tell me about your stuff. And so very sweet, charming, and delightful. And then I watched Jessica Jones season 1, and he is the most terrifying
creepy
thing
is ever made. Yes.
That was so good, though. He was so fantastic. Oh, she was too, but
he was so terrifying. And then, like, a couple weeks later, he was back in the office for something else, and I was just like, I can't look at you the same.
That's awesome. Mike, do you have anything? Because I know you're being shy right now.
Yeah, Mike.
Now I'm on the spot. I guess.
You didn't write any questions down? What?
I had a bunch of questions that I knew I was going to ask, and now I forget all of them, but that's okay. I guess my biggest question is, of all the things you've written and worked on, and I've read some of them. I haven't read everything, but what was your favorite? I feel like it's got to be Gwenpool, but I read it. Weren't we thinking about doing an episode on that, I think, and then we started to read it, and then we pushed it back, but
we're going my God, Moon Girl and Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaurs this month. Ooh, I couldn't get that out.
Get it out. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaurs this month, yes. And then we still haven't done October yet. Come up October.
So I guess my question is, what was out of all the things you've worked on, what's your favorite?
It's really, really hard to pick. I mean, Gwenpool is definitely up there to be a part of the creation of a character. This day and age is amazing. And then like just the way she took off and people fell in love with her and started cosplaying right away. And like, there's all of these toys and statues that are made of her, and all this, she's in games, and it's crazy.
She's in show now, isn't she? Didn't she just get put in that animated?
No, she didn't. That's Gwen Stacy. They just gave her
Spider-Man.
Gwenpool's hair, which that's a whole different conversation. But I spent 2 years trying to convince the world she wasn't Gwen Stacy, and then they give her Gwenpool's hair.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
To be a part of like something that got that big that quickly in a world where like Marvel's staple characters like Gambit can't hold a series for 5 issues, and she got 25 being brand new, is remarkable.
It really is.
So how long were you pitching the character?
So we didn't pitch her. She was kind of a fluke.
Oh, really?
She wasn't supposed to exist. Marvel did a month of variant covers that were all Gwen Stacy themed. And it was like Gwen Stacy is Nightcrawler, Gwen Stacy is Storm, Gwen Stacy is Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
And so right, it was just a variant cover. That was all it was supposed to be. But right, like the week or two after the Gwen Stacy as Deadpool cover came out, like people were doing fan art and cosplaying, and it just went viral. And so Marvel was like, people seem to like it, make a character. So that's
funny.
That's how Gwen, like, she's not supposed to exist, but she does. But yeah, so like being a part of that creation and seeing fans react to something that I was such a part of creating is just so cool. But then on the other hand, like getting to be a part of Star Wars, in this modern era of Star Wars, is so crazy to me, especially as like such a huge Star Wars fan that I am. I remember going to see the movies in the theaters and in elementary school and dressing up and playing these characters on the playground, and all throughout college playing, these tabletop games. And, you sit around with your friends saying, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Wouldn't it be cool if Luke did this? Wouldn't it be cool if Leia did that? And then that became my job,
Did you play Old Republic?
Oh, hell yeah.
It was good. I loved it.
I still get on there every once in a while.
Yeah.
I have a friend that does not play MMOs anymore because he went out and he bought a laptop just to play that game and put so many hours into it that he had to put it down. And he refused to pick it back up because he loved it too much.
Oh, yeah. I would spend so many. I remember, snow days in the winter. I'm sitting and playing this game, and it has the little, you've been playing for 6 hours. Please take a break. Oh, yeah. No, I loved that game. I still, I shouldn't download it again.
Wow. I don't think that's a good idea. I refuse to do it.
I got one more question before we go into our show stuff. Heather, so anybody that wants to be an editor, break into the comic book business, what road should they take getting in, or what advice would you give them to, start out?
I would say there's no one way. You speak to any person out there who's making comics, and no one broke in the same way. Right. If you want to write, if you want to draw, if you want to color, if you want to edit, start editing, start marketing yourself, and these are the things you want to do. We live in a day and age where there's so much accessibility. You don't need to have access to a printer if you want to make comics today. You can post things on the web for free. If you want to do it, start doing it, and then guess what? You're a comics writer, you're a comics creator, and if your ultimate goal is to take over as a writer of Batman, well, that's a whole different that's a whole different timeline. But like, you gotta first start making comics. If you want to write, your first job isn't going to be writing Batman. Your first job isn't going to be writing the Avengers. Your first job is going to be writing whatever it is that you want to write, which is almost cooler in a way.
It is.
Because then like there's no one who's telling you what to do. And I mean, that's how I broke in. I wanted to work in comics. I wanted to edit comics. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to put together this project and I'm going to edit it to show what I can do. And if I get a job out of it, cool. If I don't, then guess what? I made this kick-ass project. Like there's no losing there.
Right.
So, and the same thing goes for, creating your own self-published comics. Like if you get work out of it, awesome. That's fantastic. If you don't, you still made a thing, and that's pretty damn awesome.
It really is. Oh man. So Brandon, let's jump to the show.
Let's jump into the main show. So Heather, so when we start every show, we each go around whenever we have guests, or if it's just us three, we go around and we ask, name some things that you did nerdy over the past week. So we'll start with you. What have you done nerdy over the past week?
What have I done nerdy over the past week? I mean, I recently got my boyfriend into the Assassin's Creed games.
Oh my god.
And by recently got him into, I mean, purchased all of them for him.
Overload. Okay.
Because he's a PlayStation. I'm an Xbox person. So
is that a house divided? Like, do you look at him sideways? Because I know people there are those Xbox people.
I just give him shit because it's fun. Like, okay. I really don't care. Like, the Xbox has a superior controller, and that's just science.
Ergonomics, right?
Yeah, like they spent like $1 billion in that design. Like, it's just better. But yeah. So I recently got him into that, and that's.
Have you played those like yourself?
Oh God, have I played those?
Okay, that's probably one of my top 3 favorite series of all. I bought myself an Apple of Eden like 2 days ago. It's right next to me right now. I freaking love that.
I have all of the books on arts. I have all the playthrough books. I have.
Oh my God! I have most of the books.
That is the nerdiest shit we've heard all day about playthrough books. Oh man!
No, you need them. There's so much to those games.
I have platinumed all of them. If you ever want to hear me go, I can go on Star Wars rants all day long. But if you ever want to hear me in like an impassioned rant, get me talking about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, and you will never get me to shut up.
I have to tell you a really funny story before you finish real quick, because I just can't resist. My parents, when I was in high school, my dad had a job in Italy to do, so we were all there, and he was doing this job, and we were touring the city. And this is right after, I think it was around Assassin's Creed 2 came out.
Okay.
And I had played it already. And we're in Italy, and my mom thought it was a good idea to put me in like a Latin class over in high school. And so we're on these tours, and I'm spitting all this knowledge. And my mom is like, oh, I'm so proud of you. That Latin class was a great idea. I'm so glad that worked out. I was like, Mom, I hate that Latin class. You don't want to know where I got this information from. And she was like, oh, just tell me. I was like, Mom, I got it from a video game, Assassin's Creed. And she was like, oh my God, that was I love that series so much. I got all the hidden blades and the apple and a bunch of I have a lot of toys.
We gotta pause for the cause because Mike has never said anything that cool. I'll spit knowledge. Mike has never said anything that cool, and I appreciate that, Mike.
Those games are so great. You should, Brandon. I know you haven't played them. You should.
I have played the games. I just haven't played the most recent one. Origins. Yeah, I have it on my Steam account, but I just haven't.
Dude, get on it. The next one comes out in less than a month.
See, here's the thing.
It's going to be so great.
I'm not talking to you anymore until...
I'm kind of behind on the games.
I'm sorry. Do you guys... There's something... I don't know. There's like a flashing bird symbol.
I've got to get through Spider-Man.
Brandon, you're disappointing our special guest.
Listen, Mike, you told me to play Spider-Man right away. This is your fault.
This game has been out for a year.
She's right.
That's debatable.
Spider-Man's been out since Friday, and I may have already beaten it. But we'll talk about that later.
That is what we call in my industry an alternative fact. Devin, what'd you do nerdy this past week?
Wait, did you
Oh yeah, all I did is catch up on my anime stuff. Watching a lot of different animes.
Which ones?
Hero Academia, My Hero Academia. Watching Attack on Titan. Watching Boruto. Started watching Psyche, which is on Netflix, and it's really good. Season 2 is really good. It's a comedy. It's fun. And finished watching Batman the Animated Series, and
oh my god, I forgot we were doing that like next week. I gotta finish that.
And then there's a new show on Netflix called Paradise PD, which is stupid, but it's just fun.
I love it's stupid, but it's good.
It's fun. And then oh man, I read a lot. I read tons of books, audiobooks. I'm reading Conversation with God, and then I'm actually reading The Power by Rhonda Rhimes, or whatever her name is. I don't know. She wrote The Secret, The Power, and a whole bunch of other things.
Can we talk about? Hold on. People say they read audiobooks, and it makes me really angry.
It makes me mad too, because I said that shit, and then I was like, boom. But I was reading The Secret and The Power, so I actually read those tangible books in front of me, turned the page with my finger. But Conversations with God is a audiobook, and I am listening to it currently.
Thank you.
I take notes though, so that's kind of like, kind of.
No, still not reading. Mike, what about you?
I did two things.
Do you have? Hold up, before that, do you have an update on your pilot license or whatever the fuck?
Yes, please fill Heather in on this.
My test is actually tomorrow morning at 8 in the morning, and it's like 45 minutes from where I work too, which is, I'm probably gonna be late, but whatever. I'm in training to get my remote pilot's license. So I guess that's a nerdy. Well, I'm doing that tomorrow, so it'll be for next week. So I'll let you know if I got. Hopefully, I pass.
It's a drone, Heather. Like, yeah, he's talking about drones.
Yeah, I'm big into. Aside from nerd stuff, I love technology. So I'm getting.
Yes, because technology is not nerdy.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I can tell you some stories, but that would take way too long. So I'm not even gonna go into that.
My brothers work in tech, so.
Well, I do too. It's a ton. Nerd stuff is way cooler, but it's okay. I'll take it. Got to make some money somehow. But so I'll let you know if I pass next week on the show. But I did do some nerdy things this week. Heather, please don't be bad because I saw your tweet. But I pre-ordered the Spider-Man PS4 and I got it and I beat it already.
Rude.
I was gonna respond to that tweet. You should have done store pickup because that's what I didn't trust it. I was like,
no, because I wanted Amazon was doing all of.
Oh
these
yeah, you did on
things.
Amazon. I did it from Best Buy.
Well, so Amazon had these ridiculous pre-order bonuses, but also like a cash back bonus too.
What?
Yeah, so I'm getting $15 back on it.
Damn.
So
frugal, I dig it.
Yeah, you gotta be responsible with all of these new games coming out. They're so expensive.
Yeah, I beat that game already. No regrets.
But originally it wasn't coming in until Wednesday, but it's coming in tomorrow now. So it's.
That's good.
That's a little better.
So I did that, and I did one other thing. I showed my dad another Marvel movie.
Oh come on! I can't wait. Let's go.
My dad, Heather, is from Lebanon. He's very old-fashioned, very old school, and I say this. I do this on the show every once in a while. He used to hate fictional movies, but I've sort of gotten him into now over the last 5 years. I think I got him he sat through Rogue One in the theater, and he was like,
nice.
That wasn't. He liked it, and I've gotten him into Captain America, and then Iron Man, the grounded ones, and then slowly, we watched Infinity War a couple weeks ago, and he liked it. This time, I showed him. I was like, "Dad, who's your favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe hero?" And he goes, "I think I like Thor. He's the coolest." And so we watched Thor Ragnarok.
Oh man,
good. That's good though.
That was a bit of a stretch for him because he likes the realism for whatever
I was gonna
reason.
say the humor probably was a little much.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of it, but the beginning he was falling asleep, and I was like, oh dang, I was doing so well, and then he we had to go meet some of his friends for dinner, and he was like. Oh, we can leave in 20 minutes. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I want to see what happens. And I was like, yes,
that's awesome.
It's still working. We were an hour late. I think we finished the whole movie. We were an hour late to dinner. So that's another success for me. We're not at the Guardians level yet, I don't think, but we're slowly getting
baby steps.
So what was the other thing?
That was the other thing.
That was the other
thing.
It was the Spider-Man PS4, which I got and beat the whole game, or not the side missions, but I beat the story. So I won't say anything because it's still too new and I don't want to spoil it. And we watched Thor this weekend when I was at home visiting. So that was what I did.
What did I do? I caught up on some comic books. I read. I caught up on Wicked and Divine, which I love. Caught up on Batman. I caught up on Saga because I can't read Saga week to week, so I wait forever, and then I forgot about it, and I had 12 issues to read. No, 6 issues to read. So I read that, and that's on the hiatus, and I almost threw my iPad because I was mad. I read Pearl, Bendis' new book, which was really cool, interesting, and weird. I got my press pass for Keystone Comic-Con, which I'm going to on Friday to cover. Mike, I emailed the woman that's in charge, and I've tried to get her to get you a pass, so I haven't got heard back yet. And then also, they are starting to send for your consideration stuff for the Academy Awards stuff to the film critics. So we're starting to get those things coming in. So I'll probably have
free screeners.
I'll probably have a bunch of movies to review coming up, but they're already asking us for different things that we're going to vote for.
Brandon is a film critic. For those that don't know,
I know we review movies on here. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, Heather doesn't know that. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, she doesn't know. But yeah, I'm a film critic. And then I've been playing Madden. I guess that's nerdy. I feel like that's kind of jockey. I don't know, jockey and nerdy.
I mean, you're not going outside and playing football, so I mean, yeah.
No, I'm past that. I'm not.
Who's your team? I'll decide if it's nerdy or not.
So here's how it works. So we're in a connected franchise. So it's 32 of us, and we all have a
Nerdy.
team.
That's nerdy.
It's super nerdy because if you get 30 dudes to play games when they have real work and job and family, if you can get them to be like, yo, this my Madden game are they gonna send my game? I can't miss it.
And listen, I'm the commissioner too, by the way.
You nerdy.
Super nerdy.
It's like the I get in this argument with my friends all the time that are superhero stuff and comics that's super nerdy and geeky, but then they're the hardcore fantasy football, fantasy baseball players, and I'm like, dude, that's as nerdy as it gets, man.
Diving into the numbers. You're doing analytics. That's super nerdy.
I find it interesting that I feel like there was definitely a time where being considered a nerd was a bad thing, but I feel like nowadays people are trying to
nerds
earn
make
that.
money nowadays.
Yeah, nerds make money.
Well, I'm I've always been here, so and these people are trying to come in. Everyone wants to be a nerd now.
Right.
The movies are a lot better now, so
that's true.
That helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing Madden. My team, so I had to do a Facebook Live. So we're in this competitive league. So, all right, this is funny. Okay. So last year in Madden 18, there were 2 big leagues. It was our league and this other league. And some of the people were mixed in, but we always used to compete with each other and talk about whose league was better. And so this year we decided to still have our normal leagues, but then we did what we call the merger. So we took the top 16 players from our league and the top 16 players from their league, and we created a league. And then in order to make it fair, we put 2 people from each league in every division. So people couldn't just pick the best teams. We did a random draft, which I had to administer on Facebook Live by putting everybody's username in a hat and picking the team out the hat and giving everybody a random team. So I got the New Orleans Saints, which wasn't too bad. So does that make it nerdy?
Worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be the Cowboys.
Whoa, yeah, that's slander. But I mean, they're terrible. No, I just want us to go 0-16 now so we can new head coach. So that's all.
And I think I did something else nerdy. I don't know. I was doing research for Comic-Con or some bullshit like that. So, yeah. So, typical nerd shit. Oh, I need to watch Batman animated series because we're supposed to do our show on that next week, and I'm so behind.
Have you not watched Batman the animated series?
Oh, no. I've watched it.
Yeah,
we're doing a retro review of the show.
Okay.
So we're going back season by season. So we're doing
But Mike
season 1.
didn't see them all growing up because Mike's super young.
Yeah, Mike's much younger than us, so he's a baby, so he didn't see them.
I'm a baby in the nerd world too.
Not so much. What'd you say? Green Lantern? That was what? 2009?
That was 2011.
2011.
I was alive
yes.
for Green. I'm 23, Brandon. I was around for Green Lantern.
You weren't around for Batman the animated series.
Oh, I mean that came out when I was.
1993.
Yeah, I was born 2 years after that.
Yes. Okay. You're a baby. All right. So let's get into some of these topics really quick. So did any of you read Superior Spider-Man? Because I love that book.
I read it, the original one.
Yeah, I read. Yeah, that's actually right when I got into comics with Superior Spider-Man. That was my first Spider-Man that I read.
Dope.
That book
was Dan Slott and Ryan Stegman. Yeah.
Yes, Dan Slott. I love him.
Back when Ryan Stegman was just a mere baby.
That book was so awesome with Octavius basically living in Peter's body. Was just weird but great.
That's dope. I read the overview of it and I was like, well, that is interesting. I might have to
it's real interesting.
read.
Yeah, if you've not read the Slott Stegman run, like I sincerely encourage you to do it. It's super, super, super good.
Yeah, it just ended. Now Nick Spencer's writing Spider-Man, which I love because I'm a huge Nick Spencer. Well, I was a huge fan of not Secret Empire. Captain America, Sam Wilson. So,
yeah, that was a good book. That was such a good book.
I love that book. So
Brandon got me in the he was like, okay, Captain America, I'll do it. He got me into it.
And then Sam Wilson, and then he did Steve Rogers, and they both interacted. It was great. I loved that whole thing. So yeah, he's doing Amazing Spider-Man now. But so they're bringing Superior Spider-Man back. I'm interested in to see. Starts in December, so I'm interested to see how they move up into that run. But I'll be reading just based off the name. Let's see here. What else do we got? Heather brought up Green Lantern being one of the first comics that she read. So another one of my favorite writers, who's also a crazy person, is Grant Morrison, and apparently he's already working on season 2 of the Green Lantern book, which in his first run hasn't even come out yet, which is telling me DC is kind of giving him full reign over the character, which means I can't imagine how outrageous this book is going to be.
I'm very curious how much Hal Jordan will actually appear in it because it's Grant Morrison and he I love Grant Morrison's creator-owned stuff, especially because he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. I remember, what was it that he did at Image with Chris Burnham? What was it? Nameless.
Oh,
I remember
yes.
reading.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember reading that book, and I really, really liked it. But I still, to this day, could not tell you what the fuck that book is about, and it's fantastic, and I love that so much.
I tried to explain because Mike didn't read a lot of Grant Morrison, but he loves Batman, and so I'm trying to explain to him Grant Morrison's Batman run.
Oh, Batman Incorporated,
and it's crazy. He basically sends Batman back into time, it's crazy.
Do you want to know what's even more crazy? You know how DC releases the Absolute editions?
Yes.
The giant things, reprinted? Chris Burnham went back and redrew every single page for the Absolute edition.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Redrew every single page of that comic.
That's wow.
So, who's crazier?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a great question. Mike, you have to go read that run. It is... He's so good, but he's so out there. So just
I have a conversation with him and just
who wrote Planetary? Was that Kieran Gillen? No,
yeah.
that was him, right?
I think that was.
I don't know.
Oh God, hold on, I'm looking it up. Planetary. Oh, Warren Ellis. Duh.
Warren Ellis, yes, he's another one. He's another one of the crazy people.
I work with Warren on Injection. He's a delight. I love him.
But you can admit he's kind of a crazy person.
They're all just grumpy British grandpas, and I love them for it.
That's cool.
I do love Warren Ellis though as well. So so if you're into out there shit, go read some Grant Morrison. Go Uber. I guess Uber Invasion is Uber is kind of out there, but it's great. It's actually my favorite book last year. I loved Uber. And Mike still hasn't read it, and he's making me mad. He hasn't read Saga yet either, which also makes me mad.
Hey, he's a baby. He's got a lot to catch up on.
She's not wrong.
I know. He wants to keep reading Batman, so one day he'll come over to the good shit.
Batman, what? Batman's bad?
No, Tom King's great. I'm not knocking that. And Scott Snyder was great too, but I'm just saying. You got to read Saga. Make me mad. All right, let's get into some TV news. Do you watch the CW shows, Heather?
So I used to. I was a huge fan of Arrow when it first came out. Before I worked in comics, I cosplayed, and like my most popular cosplay I ever did was of Black Canary, the CW version. Yeah, I even got to meet Katie Cassidy and at a con, and we took a picture together, and it was kind of cool. But yeah, I was a huge fan of like the first season of Flash and the first couple seasons of Arrow. But then when the shows like started to intertwine, it just got. I can't watch shows week to week. I'm definitely a binger where I'll pick a weekend and I'll just watch an entire series or season of a show in one sitting. And so you can't do that if the shows are having crossovers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like say I wanted to stop watching Flash, but I wanted to keep watching Arrow. Well, now there's going to be 3 episodes of every season of Arrow that I just don't understand.
Mm-hmm. You're talking to me, Heather, because guess what? I've never seen Arrow. Never seen Arrow, and I watched Flash, and now I jumped off Flash because it's terrible.
Also, I can get around Flash. Let me tell you, for a show that's supposed to be all about super geniuses, they're all morons.
All of them. You sound just like us.
Morons.
We were reviewing that show, and then we just were like, let's not. And then we just kind of started just.
And we moved on to The Gifted because The Gifted's way better, and it's coming back.
And have you guys watched Runaways at all?
Yes.
Devin has watched Runaways.
I love it. Let me just say, it's so good.
I need to watch Runaways, and our favorite.
We told you to watch it. It's great.
Our favorite is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's just like our favorite thing ever.
Come on, Heather, love it like we love it. Do you love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Do you think it's amazing?
Never watched it.
Oh my!
No. It's literally like a movie every Friday
the show is
at
over.
10 o'clock.
It's a wrap. Hang up the phone.
Oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking. Like it is cinema. Like it comes on ABC. It's so great.
But
treat yourself, Heather.
That show
treat
was
yourself.
stressful though. I swear I've almost had a heart attack, and I'm 23 while watching that. So.
Well, since Heather doesn't like crossovers, in the 2018 DC crossover, it will include Superman and Lois Lane.
And Batwoman.
Well, yeah, and Batwoman, which I am kind of excited to see Batwoman depicted on television. Just how that works.
I'm very curious to see how they do that because I love her. I love her as a character so much, but there's been so many different iterations. I'm very curious the storyline that they're going to go with, and it being CW. I'm just worried that they're going to like CWize it, which they're going to.
They're absolutely going to CW it.
There's going to be a musical episode. I've already accepted this.
Fuck, that's so stupid. They do it all the time.
They do it all the time. I always say Riverdale is the show that CW has been trying to make for the past 10 years.
I haven't watched Riverdale.
Riverdale's good, actually. It's really good.
It's really good, but I remember I live tweeted the first season, and like I remember like realizing halfway through, like it is the show that CW has been trying to make for forever. There's that little bit of, there's the teen romance and there's the high school drama, and then there's a little bit of supernatural eeriness, and then there's a musical.
Man.
And it's a comic book, It is everything that CW wants in like a single package, and it's just
they started with Dawson's Creek, and then they gave us Riverdale. That's what
Riverdale's perfect though.
Yes. All right. So it's almost that time. We're coming back in April. Dim Thrones is coming back. That's what we call them. Game of Thrones. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes and no.
What? Hold on. How do you do that?
So This is okay. So
we're judging right now. We're judging.
That's
okay.
fine. That's totally fine. Okay. So Game of Thrones, I've read all the books.
Don't be that person.
It's not. I'm not the books are better than the show. That's
okay.
Not,
okay.
Like that's not it at all. I like them both separately for separate reasons. I remember watching the first episode of the show, and I went super film nerdy on my friend who I was watching it with, and I was like, "This show has the best sound mixing of anything." So film major to film critic, you can agree, but yeah, no, so I'd never watched the show. It's on HBO. I don't have HBO. I'm not going to pay for HBO just to see this one show that everyone says is great. Like I'm just not going to waste that money.
First of all, I know, people. Get somebody HBO password. Girl.
Hang on. Let me finish my story.
You got it.
Okay. So, what was it? The last season, season 6,
yes.
Season 7.
Season 6. Yes, season 6.
Okay, so season 6 was coming out, and it was coming out in like a month. And one of my friends was like, "You just have to watch it. You're gonna love it. You just have to watch it." And I was like, "Fine, I'll check it out." HBO, if you do a free trial, you get 30 days free. So I watched seasons 1 through 6.
That's
30
a lot.
days.
God, that's a lot.
And I watched it all.
Oh, man.
And then episode 1 of season 7 came out, and I watched it. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm good.
Yo, that's crazy.
And like so many of my like coworkers and friends and everyone were like, you did that much. You went that far. Like, why didn't you just commit? And I was like, that's how bad that first episode was.
Agreed, though. You knew they were building to something, but you're like, oh.
Like, I'm just like, I can't sit through like 10 weeks of this.
No, it got better, much better though. But okay.
I'm sure it did, and I'm sure it will. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait until the series finishes,
It's
then I'm
over.
gonna binge it all.
Mm-hmm.
I respect it.
That's what I did with
time-
The Expanse. Everybody kept telling me how great The Expanse was, and I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And then I watched The Expanse, and I was like, yep, it was great, and I'm glad I didn't have to watch it week to week. But basically, Peter Dinklage says that Tyrion has the hots for the Mother of the Dragon. So look at that.
I mean, who doesn't though?
That's true.
That is
true. Emilia Clarke is pretty.
She's hot to try.
She's pretty
hot to try.
But I wonder if they're gonna go somewhere with that. So we'll be covering that.
I
show.
hope not. Maybe I hope he's lusting after her, but never gets her. Cause
I don't think Mike's watched Game of Thrones, by the way.
Okay, only
he's
because
real quiet. He's really quiet.
Well, yeah, I actually have never watched Game of Thrones, but it's just because I'm so far behind.
Yeah,
oh, did you hear his voice? He's like, I want to be in the cool guys crew, but I just can't do it.
So yeah, but here's the thing, Mike. So HBO has this free 30-day trial.
I don't know if I could watch that much, and I feel like I would get sick way before.
Mike, you watched Westworld.
Commit.
You're right. Honestly, you're right.
Well, Westworld was only one season.
How much Batman do you read in a year, Mike?
A lot.
Exactly.
A
Commit.
lot.
You're just not trying. You're a quitter.
He just needed that Heather push. That's all he needed.
I just need it. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Honestly, I could probably do it. I just got to set aside, like, a month of my... It's nothing against it. I had heard, like, none of my friends had started watching until... Well, I got to I don't know. I don't know why I haven't started.
Yeah, you're such a baby. I forget you're young.
Mike, your special guest is asking you to binge Game of Thrones, even though she couldn't commit to it.
Yeah, see?
You have to.
See?
Well, I know what I'm doing starting tomorrow for the next.
Oh man, and the African American community, we just steal people's passwords, and we have HBO Go. Like my cousin has it, so guess what? Now I have it. Thanks, Bernadette.
Yeah, that's about right. Rick and Morty wins his first Emmy Award.
Yeah, Pickle Rick.
So, are you a Rick and Morty fan, Heather?
I've never actually watched it. I've been told I'd like it.
You would absolutely like it.
I've been told I like it. I'm honestly like my cartoon education is lacking. My boyfriend recently had me start watching Bob's Burgers, and I've just like fallen in love with that show.
Yes.
Yeah. I've just said, so if you want to know who I am in real life, aside from like reading Gwenpool, I would say I'm Louise. I'm an embodiment Louise. I'm not afraid to cut you, I guess. Is the
Okay.
And morally ambiguous and not afraid to cut you, I think, is the best way to describe Louise.
Yeah, you would definitely love Rick and Morty then.
Yeah.
If I watch Game of Thrones, you have to watch Rick and Morty.
Deal.
That is a fair deal.
And then you know what? I will come back and do another episode in like a month or so, and we can like chat about it.
I will follow up with you on that.
We'll do this. Done. It's gonna happen.
We're gonna definitely do it. All right, let's see. Doom Patrol character breaks down and confirms that Cyborg's father will appear. Now, this is a small story. However, those of you who listen to the show know that I have a huge affinity with Joe Morton, or AKA Papa Pope from Scandal. And he played Cyborg's dad on that movie that should not be named.
Don't talk about.
That movie we don't talk about. He played Cyborg's father. So I just if you want me to buy your DC streaming service, tell me that Joe Morton's going to be on that show, and I'll watch it. Are you excited about any of those shows you heard about their streaming service, Heather? The Harley Quinn show, the Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing, I'm excited about.
Did you watch the old Swamp Thing on USA, Heather?
I have.
Yes.
I have.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I'm stoked for Doom Patrol. I think like the Doom Patrol casting is like.
Did you see that Titans trailer? Did you watch?
Don't get me started.
I was ready to see it. Like, oh man.
Like,
no, start and go. We want to hear your thoughts.
I think we talked about it for like 20 minutes when it happened.
I'm very rarely speechless. But I was just so like I thought it was a joke.
Fuck Batman. Why?
It's I'm just like, okay. I mean, like, right? The Marvel TV shows are dark and gritty. I guess this is that's wrong. Like
that is a hate crime.
Because, like the Netflix streaming shows, they say fuck left and right. That's not why people watch them.
No, and that's not why people want to see the Titans. And you fucking neutered. It was a hate crime.
All that trailer needed to be was a picture of Nightwing's butt, just a still shot. All it needed to be.
You cannot ruin Dick Grayson.
I'm not wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
you're not wrong. Nightwing's butt is a recurring character in his books, over and over and over.
It's the star.
And over again. Dick Grayson's my favorite comic book character. I saw that trailer and I almost cried, literally, just tears.
It was sad.
You cannot ruin Dick Grayson like that. Fuck Bat. Like oh my god, we already talked about this too much. All right, so let's get to our movie news and then we'll get out of here. So, did you guys read this article about apparently Burt Reynolds turned down the Han Solo role?
And James Bond, though.
Yeah, I knew about both of those. You know, I love Burt Reynolds, but I'm glad he wasn't Han Solo.
Can you imagine Burt Reynolds as Han Solo? He's like the Marlboro Man playing Han Solo. That would
just be weird.
That would have been weird.
He would be a cool James Bond, though. He would be a kick-ass James Bond.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He would be a pretty good James Bond.
Because he was James Bond in Hollywood, honestly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, he was that good.
100%. And, like, James Bond is, like, my cool nerdy cred, I think. Like, it's, I grew up, my dad and I bonded over James Bond growing up. Yeah.
Oh, the old school ones?
Yeah. So when I was in kindergarten and they asked you what you want to be when you grow up, I said James Bond.
See? Look at you. Now the people on the internet would be mad at you. James Bond cannot be Jamie Bond.
No, I want to be James Bond. I was James Bond for Halloween. It's
Okay.
cool.
Did you
yeah, no, I
rent
think
the
Burt
car?
Reynolds would be a fucking great James Bond.
Absolutely.
And now I'm sad that we never got that.
I agree. Mike, do you even know who Burt Reynolds is?
I was hoping you would not ask me that question. I may or may not have just looked him up.
Smokey and the Bandit.
I don't even know what that is. I've never.
Oh my
a
God!
Trans Am.
Me.
Oh
What?
God.
You're such a
You're dead.
baby.
Oh,
It's not my
man.
fault I was born.
A Pontiac
But
Trans
it's
Am.
not like you're not pop culturally educated.
It's American, goddammit. We're Americans. We know to go what Trans Ams are, goddammit.
See, never mind.
How excited are you for Captain Marvel, Heather?
I am so excited. I'm
like it.
I'm bummed that she's not doing the mohawk hair.
Oh
yeah, me too.
yes.
Me too.
Like I hope, and I get like for her not wanting to do that, or the people not wanting her to do that, or whatever. Like whoever's decision it is, like I get it, but like I hope there's some homage to it in some way, shape, or form.
Like, yeah, the first time she donned a suit or whatever, she's like, maybe she wear my hair like this or whatever. And then she's like, no.
Some way, or like she
Right.
takes off a helmet and there's some weird like helmet hair going on or something. Like I don't know, like or some like alternate reality thing that happens. I don't know what they're gonna. But like the mohawk is just such a cool thing, and it's something I like truly associate with
It
that.
shows
character.
how powerful that character is, though. Yeah, it shows like that's a strong woman. Like I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Furiosa hairstyle, right? Like,
yeah.
But dude, that costume looks so sick.
Oh yeah.
It looks so good.
Those pictures look great.
It's gonna be like I have a feeling when that trailer happens, it's gonna be like Wonder Woman for me, and I'm just gonna like cry.
I thought when she tweeted at Entertainment Weekly it was gonna be a trailer, which I don't know why because they're a magazine, and I like left work. I mean I didn't leave, but I like left my desk. I was like, all right, I'm ready, let's do it. And then I was like, damn it.
Also, Marvel is doing what DC didn't do, which is like market the hell out of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And DC kind of dropped the ball on that. And Marvel is not going to do that. And
we know it's going to be a good film too. Like
Absolutely.
it's not going to be like the Wonder Woman where it's like, well, I hope it's good. Like
Right.
everyone knows it's going to be great. Also, are we sure Marvel doesn't like own the time machine? Because what the hell they're doing with this de-aging software is scary. It's and cool at best, but fucking scary as shit. Because those pictures of Samuel L. Jackson, I thought I was looking at Pulp Fiction. Like I didn't know what I was looking at. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And then they did it earlier. They did it in Civil War with Robert Downey Jr. And they did
That was so good. Yeah.
oh, the stuff that they did in Ant-Man on
Michael
Michael
Douglas.
Douglas.
Yes.
Yeah, that
God,
was creepy.
It's so
That
creepy.
was so creepy.
it really was.
I don't know what's going on over there, but I can't imagine to see what this is. And this movie takes place in the 90s. Also, the funniest thing is Phil Coulson's going to be in this movie, but that dude looks exactly like he did in 1995. So they're not even going to have to de-age him at all. Which is going to be Clark Greg's going to be awesome in that film. So yeah, I'm super excited about that.
I'm excited to get Clark Gregg back. Like,
And that's why you need to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
yeah, I know. It's fine. I'll get there. Rick and Morty or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first. Take
No,
your-
Rick and Morty. No,
It's
no.
much
Rick
better.
and Morty.
It's only
Okay.
30 minutes per episode. But yeah, I can't wait for that. And it also comes on International Women's Day, which, smart. Great job by Marvel for the marketing. One of me and Devin's favorite things are Impossible White Man movies. Are you familiar with that genre, Heather?
I'm sorry. What's the genre?
Impossible White Man movies.
Impossible white man movies.
Yes.
I know of plenty of white man movies.
So
So,
it's
what we would
basically
say
a
is-
movie that you don't have to be white, you don't have to be a man, but it's just a good way to call it because they started out with white men, where it's like a dude who doesn't have superpowers, and somehow he kills all the people and saves people in the most ridiculous possible way.
Oh, okay.
Like Die Hard.
Skyscraper.
Yeah.
Skyscraper was definitely a
Oh,
possible
so
white
you
man
mean
movie.
Die Hard 2017?
Yeah. So,
but with like the worst name for a movie ever.
yeah, Skyscraper. Except The Rock is kind of like not impossible white man, because every time I see The Rock, I think everything that he's going to do is possible.
But it's like what is it? White House Down or White House Has Fallen or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Olympus Has Fallen, like that. Yeah, that's what it's called.
But
Yeah.
like Training Day,
Yeah.
Atomic
Training Day's
Blonde.
not too impossible.
Atomic Blonde is a possible white man movie, even though it's not
Born
a white
Identity,
man.
those
Yep.
stuff. Mission Impossible. Yeah.
So those are some of our favorite genres to
Okay.
laugh at. San Andreas, which was a ridiculous one. But apparently there's going to be a Die Hard 6 called McClane.
Ooh.
Just called McClane. And it says that Die Hard 6 will follow...
Isn't he like mid-60s now?
Yes. Die Hard
They
6
roasted him
will...
on Comedy Central. Yes, they did. So
Die Hard 6 will follow a 60-year-old John McClane and a younger McClane in his 20s as well. But despite the supposed time jumps, fans, Willis will still have a large role in the film. So apparently he's 60 in the film.
Jake
Good.
Peralta is about to be really
Well,
excited.
he's only 60 in the film because they can't get a handle on Marvel's
Time
anti-aging.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to
Wow.
use today's Bruce Willis. By the way, although, wasn't Stallone like 60 in The Expendables?
God damn, he's so old. He keeps doing this shit. Like, but he's on steroids, so he's legit
That's true.
juicing to get through. So I appreciate that.
That's true.
I'm sorry, using to get through. That was
He
weird.
he really is juicing to get through though. Like, I mean, have you seen his face? It's like droopy, and then they shoot that venom shit in his face, like that Botox shit, and like he's back, and then he has muscles again too. Like, what the fuck?
Why you gotta hate on my man Sly? He just out here trying to get some money, securing the bag.
Yo, he always securing the bag. Yo, he stays on it. My man Chuck Norris is my guy. He's the gold standard.
Does Chuck Norris even do anything except be terrible?
I mean,
He's in like commercials and that's it. That's the only.
hey, that Northern track is keeping that man fit, and he's doing it the right way without juicing.
This one was just for Devin. Devin was a Planeteer growing up,
You can be
and
one too.
they have a writer for the new Captain Planet movie. So, did you watch Captain Planet, Heather?
I did not.
Oh my gosh! So the power is yours, and you didn't even know it. Oh my god!
Captain Planet was a ridiculous cartoon in the 90s about like these kids that got these rings and it gave them the power of like earth, wind, fire, water.
I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
So apparently
never-
they're making a movie of this in 2019.
If Power Rangers can get a movie, so can Captain Planet.
Okay, first of all, Power Rangers is much more. First of all, have you been reading the Power? That's what another thing I meant to
It's
say.
really
nerdy.
good.
Have you been reading the Power Rangers book?
It's
That
so good.
shit is great.
Yeah.
That shit is really good. They just finished this.
Oh, the one by Kyle? Kyle
Yes.
Higgins? That one? Yeah, I've not read it. I've never been a Power Rangers fan, but Kyle's one of my really good buddies, and it makes me so proud that y'all.
Tell him I love the job he's doing
I
because
will.
he's amazing.
Book's fucking great.
Tell him Devin says hi.
I will. He's actually staying at my place for New York Comic Con, so
Tommy's my favorite character.
okay.
And then we always do like some one series story every week. And so this one is Kelly Marie Tran says she doesn't know if she'll ever return to social media, which is so fucked up.
Heather, thoughts?
I feel you, Kelly.
Yep.
That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. She was at the Toronto Film. She was at TIFF, which, by the way, that is my goal, is to go to TIFF one year. Like, I really, really want to go there.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I don't want to pay, so I want them to give me a pass.
Okay.
Actually, I think you can only get passes there. I don't even know if TIFF is like you can just go there. But she was at TIFF and they were talking to her and she was just saying, people are assholes, which we all know. All of us know that. By the way, you don't even have to have that many followers. Like, I have more than Devin and Mike, but I don't have nearly as many as Heather. But just doing a show and having a few thousand followers, these people just come out of nowhere. And I'm like, don't you have like life to live? But to bother me, like, I said something about like a wrestler last week, and then I went away and I was doing something, and I came back and I had like 50 mentions, And they're all like, how can you say this about him? He's the blah, 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 blah. You don't know nothing. I'm like, where did all this Anna come from? Where does all this animosity come from? So ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really sad. And I actually just did a podcast a couple weeks ago that was released for Comics Experience about social media and all of that. And, you know, it's all I'll say on the subject, you know, is just at the end of the day, you have to remember that people put things out there for a reaction, you know, like everything we make our posts, our funny posts, or talking about these wrestlers or whatever. We put it out there because we want people to react to it. And unfortunately, those reactions aren't always the ones that we want. But then you have to remember that those people are saying the negative things because they want a reaction out of you. So just don't give it to them.
Very well said.
Very well said. And you're a much better person than I am. I get a kick out of trolling people. Mike's always coming to me and is like, I saw you trolling this guy one time.
Oh, get me trolling Boba Fett fans. That's my favorite thing to do on the internet.
Do you follow Gail Simone?
Oh yeah, Gail and I were just talking today. I love her. She's the best at trolling assholes on the internet.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. So, by the way, when Gail Simone followed me, when she followed me, I came on the show and I was like, they were like, "What'd you do, nerdy?" And I was like, "Well, Gail Simone followed me, and I almost fell out of my chair." Because I love Gail.
That's what happened when Heather responded to my tweet.
Aww.
But yes, the best thing that Gail Simone does is because she gets these people because they think they're nerds, and so she's clearly fucking with them. And she'll say something like, my favorite one was she was talking about Cyclops' heat vision. And she's like, Cyclops' heat vision is hotter than something or another. And all these people are like, he doesn't have heat vision. He has plasma blast. And she's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's heat vision. And she goes on and on. It's the best. She's the best troll. I love her.
Oh, man, that's good.
You got to follow Gail. She's the best. And also, she read Domino. It's really good. Really, really, really good. And then last story is our non-comic book TV or movie story. It's just a nerd story. NASA is to intensify search for exoplanets and aliens.
You know
I'm
why?
About it.
Why, Heather?
So we can escape this godforsaken planet.
Nice.
Yes. A new congressionally mandated report says NASA should refine its strategy and improve its tools to foster the study of exoplanetary systems and expedite the search for alien life. Okay, I guess. Does that go hand in hand with the Space Force?
You better believe it, baby. We're going.
Yo, I'm telling you, opinions of the president aside, if someone's like, you want to go to space, we'll pay for it, I'd probably just be like, yo, send me up. I'm down.
Space Force, baby.
I would go to space if you gave me a green ring. There's that.
Yo, true? Oh, my gosh.
If you gave me a green ring and told me I could be in charge of sector... What the fuck is his sector? I used to know about her.
It's not his
Green
anymore.
Lantern. It's God, I used to know this. It's like 2114.
Yeah, I used to know it too.
In every friggin'
Yeah, every book.
Isn't it Jessica Cruz and
2814? 2814.
Yes, 2814. That is absolutely. So yeah, that's our sector. Well, there's like 6 lanterns in our sector now. No, it's like 4. So no, 5. There's Guy.
How many are there?
In our sector? I think there's Guy,
there's
Hal.
Guy Gardner. Well, is Guy Gardner a Green Lantern again?
Oh, yeah, technically he just changed to something, right? Isn't he?
Because he's been a Red Lantern for a while. I haven't read.
Then he switched back to green, and then I just read it. He got some new He got some new ring that Jeff Johns is creating. Was created.
Also,
Ultraviolet or something.
Can I just say these rings are being a little bit too like they're supposed to be very exclusive, you know, like
there's a lot of them out there, yeah.
You're that's supposed to be worthy, you know, the ring chooses you, but then we have people who are all like, yeah, but like this week Tuesdays I'm a White Lantern, and like the only one that isn't flaky is the orange.
Oh yeah,
you know, because he's greedy and I can't remember his name, but
Lavery's.
like he has to have them all. Yeah, Lavery's. But like you have like Hal's been every color of the friggin' rainbow because why the fuck not? Like
I feel like Jon Stewart's been pretty consistently green.
Because he's the best one.
Yeah, he's the best one.
He
Exactly.
He really is. Like,
Well, Kyle, I like Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle Rayner. I love Kyle Rayner a lot. But Jon Stewart is the Captain America of the Green Lanterns.
he is.
That makes
All
sense.
facts. All facts.
Kyle makes the best constructs, though.
Kyle Rayner is one of my all-time favorite DC characters, so he can be whatever he wants to be.
Okay.
Kyle makes the worst
Are you
construct.
hoping to see Kyle Rayner in this Green Lantern core movie if it ever comes out?
Yes and no. Like, he's the one where I'm just like, oh, that's the one they have to get right, and if they fuck him up, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be that fan, and I'm gonna be angry. But like, I think the one I want to see the most is Jon Stewart. Just because I think Kyle Rayner may be like one of my favorite DC characters, but I think Jon Stewart is the embodiment of what a Green Lantern should be, and is the best Green Lantern in my opinion. Yeah. And also just the historical constructs of that character are just so fascinating, and it would just be so cool to see him on the big screen because he was DC's first African American character.
Get it. Come through, Heather. Come through.
By the way, Hal Jordan, apparently they've already offered Tom Cruise to be Hal Jordan.
I'm here. Hey, I'm here for it, though. I'm here for it.
And he's considering it. Yes. They've offered Tom Cruise to be Hal Jordan.
Tom knows that superheroes are supposed to be at least 6 foot tall, right?
Oh, damn, Heather, that was good. That's a mic drop. That's good. That was good.
So, and you know who's lobbying to be Jon Stewart? And if DC does this, I will never forgive them.
Who?
Tyrese.
Oh,
No.
Yes.
Oh,
From
Tyrese.
Fast and Furious.
I will
you didn't
never
have to say
forgive them.
we will never forgive.
I will never forgive them. If Tyrese shows up on that fucking screen, I swear to God, I will never forgive them.
As an African American, I will boycott that movie.
Give me 90s Denzel Washington.
I'll take 90s Denzel Washington. I'll take pretty much anybody besides Tyrese and Anthony Mackie. I'd be good.
Well, Anthony Mackie's already
He's already set. Oh, by the way,
got-
Devin and I saw Anthony Mackie in New Orleans.
And he ain't shit. He ain't shit in real life. So anyway,
Yeah, we don't like him, but
Yeah.
I like him as Cat though. I do like him as Sam. I was about
like
to
him
say
as-
Cat. That was a Freudian slip.
I'm trying to now. I'm just thinking who I would actually want to play Jon Stewart.
Just not Tyrese.
Idris
no.
No, Idris Elba. No, Idris Elba's too old.
We can get Denzel Washington's son. We can get him to do it.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good.
Terry Crews.
No, although Terry Crews would probably be good at
He'd
that.
be great. I love to.
But I wouldn't want to see Terry Crews.
And
he's too swole. Yeah,
You know who would be good? I think Sterling K. Brown.
Oh yes.
Oh my God.
That is
we can't do
perfect.
that.
Oh
that
my
is
gosh,
perfect.
that is
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
We love
think-
Sterling K. Brown.
Heather, are you going to see Predator this week?
Not this week, but I am going to see it.
It's going to be so good. They made it funny. They made it a comedy. It's going to be amazing.
What just happened with that movie? There was I saw an article, Olivia Munn or something.
A
There
lot
was
of shit happened with that movie.
Oh yeah, she fought to get some
Equal pay or something? What?
No. It was a scene it was some sort of sexual scene with her, and she fought to get it out because it was a scene to be sexy for the sake of being sexy,
Yes.
rather than any story connotation.
Right.
And she fought really hard to get it taken out, and then everyone made her feel like she was the bad person for doing it.
And homie put his homeboy in the movie that was a convicted pedophile, and then they had to remove the scene from the film, which they should have do, but still.
I heard about the pedophile thing. I did not hear about the sex scene. That blows.
Yeah, there's been a lot with that movie, and it's just shitty. If you don't even take it from a moral perspective, which is already bad enough, but just this is what I never understand about these things. Just from a pure money and marketing perspective, it's just stupid to do some of this shit. It just doesn't make you any money. And at the end of the day, what these studios want more than anything is to make money.
Yeah.
And
it's the thing for me too, these sexy scenes. I'm you're not putting them in the trailer, you're not advertising them, so it's not gonna get you.
People are already there.
Right. Like there's.
Very few people are gonna go home and be like, "Yo, you gotta see this movie."
Well, and very
sex
few
scene
people
with
are gonna go twice because of you know what I mean.
Right.
Also, by the way, I mean, if we're being honest, Devin and I talk about this all the time. Why do you need to go to the movies to see a sex scene? Like, you got everything.
It's free.
You got everything like right in front of you. Like, there's really no point. By the way, another example that we laughed about this on the show a couple weeks ago, but that Kevin Spacey movie made $126.
$26, yes.
We laughed about that shit so good. I also had an article about Gotham to make fun of that, but I lost it. Guess what, Mike? Apparently he already had a Batcave, and he's getting a new Batcave in this season. And I'm like, isn't he 17? How does he have two Batcaves already?
I watched that show for the first 2 seasons, and then I just couldn't do it anymore.
Good for you.
It's too painful.
Yeah, fuck Gotham. Hate that shit. All right, so before we get out of here, thank you so much for joining us, Heather. It was so much fun. Can you
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah. Can you tell everyone things that you're working on, where they can get it, and where they can kind of follow you on social media and keep up with what you're doing?
Of course. So a lot of my projects haven't been announced yet, but with New York Comic Con coming up in a month, that's going to change. But until then, you can check out my work on all my past stuff at Marvel. I worked on Deadpool, Gwenpool, everything Star Wars. And then my image books are Redlands, Injection, and the soon-to-be coming out Bitterroot. Check my website and my Twitter for more announcements as they come up on where you can meet me, see me, and hang out with me. My Twitter is @Heather Antos. And my website is www.heatherantos.com. And that's just my name, spelled HeatherAntos.
Awesome. Mike, Devin, you guys got anything else?
No, thank you so much, Heather. You're amazing. Definitely watch Rick and Morty. Get you back on here, and it'd be great.
Yeah, same with Devin. I'm gonna follow up with you in a month about this Rick and Morty Game of Thrones thing and see where we're at. And
we're gonna do it. We'll hang out.
I'm gonna hold you to it. So thank you so much for coming on and answering my tweet. It was probably the most fun I've had on an episode, even though I don't say very much. So I'm sorry.
Mike shot his shot and he made it, and now he's spitting knowledge, yo.
He's spitting knowledge.
Devin's never gonna let me live that one down.
Get him a t-shirt.
Yeah, we're gonna get him a t-shirt.
I would wear that if Devin got me a t-shirt.
Oh, man.
So thank you guys for listening, and you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you get your podcast app. Leave us a 5-star review. Definitely follow Heather on Twitter and check out all her past work on Marvel Unlimited, or go buy the books and follow her new stuff too. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening.